in my life that I ever somewhat blacked out. That's the only time in my life that I've ever done that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a piece of lint.
But John, the dog does not have an agenda against you. It's a dog. You can't project human.
It has an agenda.
No, the dog does not have an agenda. Your father and I.
This is a piece of the.
And
but actually, it's
and the
lint.
dog.
If you call cat hair lint.
Yeah,
this is. Look. India. I'm from India.
No, you're not, John. You're from
this is
Roanoke. You're from Roanoke, Virginia.
Look, I bring this show and tell. Show and tell. The cat hair. The hairs. Show and tell. Show and tell. India. I bring.
I don't want to eat it, John. Why don't you throw it away? You get really upset when you see any
Someone
kind
brought
of
a fly. When I was in elementary school,
yes,
this girl, I don't want to say her name, but I remember her name.
Uh-huh.
And she brought a fly to show and tell, and she was Indian, and she said, like, we brought all the things that we thought were cool, and she said, I brought a fly. And she showed it was a dead fly.
Well, that's kind of cool. I like that.
I promise. I don't know why. I remember that it was in elementary school at my elementary school.
What grade?
I don't know if I can say it. I don't want to get
third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade.
It was Oak Grove. I guess that's common.
No, I didn't say
Oak
what
Grove
school.
Elementary.
What grade were you in? How old were you?
Somewhere between first grade and fourth or fifth grade, probably third.
So
grade.
between first grade and fourth grade, how did you feel about your life?
Oh, I was happy. I believe I was happy.
What made you?
I discovered girls. I wanted to kiss girls more.
Why don't you throw that away, John?
It's just a cat hair.
Yeah, but you get so upset about every other kind of lint or bug or
it's
dental floss.
It's his dark fur.
So throw it away.
What was elementary school? I was happy.
No, happy. What made you happy? And if you could see what made you happy when you were in first, second, third, fourth grade, maybe you could focus on that rather than things that make you feel anxious.
Focus on the things that made me happy.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life I was kind of mean about it, but I wanted to.
When you say you're kind of mean, what are you talking about? You were accusatory of other people, blaming other people, justifying your negative actions by how you felt other people treated you.
Okay, I'll just tell the truth about it. There was always this time in my mind when everything was free and innocent and happy. When I was about 12 years old, in the summer of, it must have been 1990, the summer of 1990, and I could play drums downstairs, and I had kind of long bangs, and I could wear like these cool band t-shirts or just regular clothes and like Panama Jack shirts and stuff like that I thought were cool, and I could do whatever I wanted the whole summer. It was the most free feeling time, and I got to finally go back and revisit that and feel that way.
When?
And see, it was my parents' house that I grew up in, and they kept the house after they moved out and rented it to people. And I'd always wanted to move back there with my wife, and when I was married, but we got a divorce, and then I tried to get back with her one more time when I was like a really confident jerk that could almost control I could control women's minds.
How could you do that, John?
I could control other human beings.
How could you do that?
To act and do things almost like a machine.
Like a marionette?
It wasn't good.
You were the puppet master?
controlling me to be a mean jerk. And so I knew how to control other people by being so manipulative in my vocabulary in every aspect of my five senses, following the law perfectly, following societal norms perfectly. And there was a real terrifying, hellish fear pushed on me that if I didn't act and really work at it, that it could have been way worse than death. Way worse than death, and way worse for me than any horror movie.
How did you get into that situation?
I guess I just got weaker and weaker and didn't sleep for 2 or 3 weeks, or a week or two, and something happened. But anyway, I finally was done with going out there and working and doing all this, like controlling all the workers that my dad worked for, like having them call me, or like other people like in my family that kind of were working for my dad, and these people that I had to tell what to do, they started calling me sir. I was just a boy or a guy before that. I didn't want to be a man. I had to be a man. And it was like part of growing up and having to be manly. And it wasn't me at all, though. I just like being a kind person. And now I'm back to being a kind person and nice. And Al helped me to be a nice person again. But part of it was I'm a good person, even though I could control other people's minds and have them do what I said by just being really unbelievably pushy and powerful, like really powerful.
How did that make you feel?
But there are more powerful people who I wasn't sure, but I felt like as if they're pushing a horrible fear on me, and I had to act. It didn't make me feel that great because I was escaping a really nightmarish hell that had never been even seen before. That was like an elaborate screenplay or series of books or movies that hadn't been shown. That was all fear, like this elaborate world of fear, this underground hell that they could bring you down into on Earth.
Was that part of your imagination?
Yeah. It doesn't really exist unless you do bad to others, and it's a real hell that you can suffer for, like after you die in your mind or something. Then you can go to the hell if you're like really mean to people and you just don't learn and you keep being meaner and meaner. Then I think you could go to hell, but I'm not sure, and I don't know if it exists or not. But I just hadn't slept in a long time, and it kind of like kicked my mind into some, like almost like a person that got a football head injury or something, that kind of changes their brain and they start making tons of money, but they're not as nice as they should be. But I could control people's minds pretty much by just having a tremendous grasp of being like the ultimate jock jerk guy that was like,
but that's not who you are.
Really pushing these big, horrible political ideas. And that's not who I am at all. And I went back after that and became this very weak, starved, dehydrated, like Jesus in the desert, pretty much. So kind to everyone in every subtle little interaction with every human being.
When was that?
Everyone the benefit of the doubt of everything, saying
before you bought the school or after?
This was after I came here, but I had done it one time before, right before it had gotten so bad that they were going to like torture me in a new way. That's worse than Jesus got tortured, like 10 times worse. Jesus was not tortured very badly. What did they hurt his body physically and kill him? It wasn't that bad of suffering. This was a new hell. That was part of it. A new hell, like super modern, perfect, clean, horrible, evil, new hell. It was like some of it could have happened in LA. It was like this horrible whole world of fear that was pushed on me, but it's all gone now. I made sure it was all okay. See, I had to go across country pushing this Jesus stuff, kindness to every person, so much so that it was like inappropriate in certain parts of the South where blacks were treated like the segregated times. And I had to just be so kind to them, not knowing if they're going to rape me, give me AIDS, and then the hell would start with like this weird shit, stuff that they would do like underground, which could be way worse than just somebody being like, raped by a bunch of people and given AIDS and have their limbs cut off and all this hellish, nightmarish stuff, but really bad. And then kept alive through genetic manipulation for hundreds of years and tortured, beaten, have like my legs broken, all this horrible, hellish, nightmare stuff that doesn't happen on Earth because people just don't have that type of.
So when the bombing Syria and
Because it's wrong.
And other places,
It was a real glimpse of hell.
So this is worse than war, worse than.
Yeah. War wouldn't be too horrible. There's only so much bad stuff that goes on Earth. This was a glimpse at what real hell would be like.
And you were going through it?
No, I wasn't going through it at all, but I could see it. I could see glimpses of it, and it was terrifying.
Why were you getting to see it and no one else was?
I thought other people could kind of see it too, and there were times when like no one was on the road, and that's when like some of the weird stuff was happening, or it was because I hadn't slept in very long. But it created this thing. So I think it was like in my own mind and thoughts. And I went from being so kind and Jesus-y to bring together a white and black couple, that there's a black guy behind a counter where there's the white people that own the store in like a really rural southern place in Tennessee, I believe, or Mississippi. It was Mississippi. I'll just tell the truth. And I drove through across country to see my kids, but I hadn't slept in 30 hours, and days or weeks before that, hardly any sleep.
How much coffee were you drinking?
I was drinking coffee, but what it was that I was on a certain medication, and I just had slowly weaned off, and I didn't realize that you can't keep drinking coffee, and you have to stop drinking coffee or else you just can't sleep like that. So it was.
How much coffee did you drink today? Do you think your anxiety?
It doesn't affect me now because I'm on a new medicine, and I figured out you just have to get sleep. Like I didn't put two and two together because when I went off the medicine.
So you don't think that little episode with the door today had nothing to do with how much coffee you drank?
No, that was one millionth of the effect I had, or 1/1000th or so, one out of a few thousand of how mean I was in my thoughts and did things out there without having to say it out loud and without anyone knowing what was, and having to cover my true thoughts and actions so that no one really knew out there what was happening. And even the people that I was making them part of the thing that was, I don't even want to talk about it, but it had a huge influence on the way things were, but somebody was forcing me to do it. So it was pretty bad. And then to make up for it, I went across country not knowing if the hellish, nightmarish things of being brought down to hell, the genetic manipulation, all the suffering and torment, and having to even be the next coming of Jesus Christ. I was willing to do that to make up for my sins, pretty much, or at least do whatever I had to make up for all the bad I did. And I went across country after I got this house sometime and helped everyone I could, went to the most racist still areas of the South that were just like the segregated times, that had these real black people behind the counter doing this, frying up food and everything, and all the black people having to work, and the white people, the real white looking people that owned the whole restaurant, kept them in the back and would not have any black people up front where they would check people out in the store. And this guy behind the counter was so sure he was going to go nuts. He was working back there, and I thought he'd, do something crazy and just go to prison if it kept up. And this white lady came in with her white child, and she was looked like she was trying to pay her bills, and she didn't have much money at all to buy much food. And I went out of my way in the face of these white people who were running the whole store to try to bring the black man and the white lady and her child together, and to try to have him just quit his job and walk out of there and go somewhere where he feels okay and he's willing to work hard, and he could stand up for that white lady and get married, and he could pay for them and help them with money, and they'd be together and everything would be okay. And I did everything I could, no matter how inappropriate it was socially for those racist ways of the place. And I did everything I could to bring them together. Then all along the way and all
Did
the
they
road,
get together?
I tried to help every black person I could, every minority. I even started walking around. It was to make up for the horrible racist stuff that I had done before, which was surprisingly enough appropriate for our nation at the time, I believe. But I can't imagine why I would have had to do it. So evil. It's like a necessary evil. And it was, I still can't imagine what the point of it was. It was like they controlled my brain and made me do all this mean stuff. And I was so terrified of being tormented and tortured in an underground hell and kept alive for hundreds of years and I tried the Jesus stuff before that and was so kind, and they were going to do these horrible things to me. So I thought I had to just survive in nature and stand up for myself. And I started using survival of the fittest and some really bad books that I had read from seeing heavy metal stuff. And I just survived in nature any way I could. It was really mean. But
you mean like books that Aleister Crowley?
Maybe some stuff like that, but I'm not going to say which one because I don't want anyone to ever use that. So if there's no reason to know about it, all those books should be burned. They should just be burned. There should be no trace of them. It's almost like Adam and Eve. If that apple wasn't there, we wouldn't have any sin. Like it's the temptation. When that's around, people are drawn into that evil and they try to learn from it, or they're drawn into it and they think that something's cool about it, but it's just going to hurt them. It's the temptation and stuff like that. And I was raised Christian. So eventually I made it for all my sins, and I got a very clear understanding after going across country and helping all these. And Al helped me become kind again and be myself again. But I was like really hurt or pushed to be this mean person that I was nothing like my true self inside. It didn't make me happy. It didn't feel good. It was just I had to survive, and I thought I had to do that stuff, and it was just wrong and bad. But somehow, by some miracle, I said I accepted anything bad that could happen to me for all the wrong I did in the eyes of God, or just believing in God and Jesus. I happen to believe in Jesus. You could believe in God if you just want to believe in God. Or for whatever reason, this was my way of making up for my sins. And I was as kind as I could across the whole nation for all the people that I thought I had affected from being the mean version of myself. And I made up for everything wrong that I had done. And it was all okay. And I was even willing at one point, I hadn't slept for so long, I had to be hospitalized. I thought I'd never get out of there. I didn't know if they'd tell anyone that I was there. They put me in a mental rehab place because I hadn't slept in so long. And the thing that happened was I kept being nice to minorities and black people and everybody. And I made up for all the sins that I did. And I believe I had an impact, or if it was all in my mind, then good. Then if I had no impact on anyone to begin with, then that was good. It was all in my mind. And if I had no impact on anyone the second time, I just thought I did my best, Well, I was kind to them, but for both of those taken into consideration, I helped every last person I possibly could have the second time and made it for all my sins and was really kind to everybody. And and when I finally made it home, it took me like a month to recover from the second time that happened, going off the medicine, not sleeping for so long, and seeing hell or the Jesus acting stuff.
So through this experience, has it given you the ability to balance your life?
To balance my life.
Yeah, so you don't have to feel anxiety, so you don't have to feel anger, so you don't have to feel persecuted, so you don't have to
The
feel
whole thing was
that you
I
have
got,
to be mean
the
and
whole thing
cruel.
was that I got way out of balance. Like some people don't believe in it, but
You're a Libra.
Yeah, I'm a Libra, they say. So I'm supposed to be in balance.
Right.
And I went from one extreme to the next. I went from really kind and heavenly and nice, which actually felt like I was being walked on and trampled on sometimes.
How come?
By people.
Why?
For years, sometimes a lot of it was in high school and in schools.
But why, even bullying? I mean, if you don't let it bother you, it can't bother you.
Emotionally. And so much so that I thought my body looked horrible and my face looked horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And like I thought my eyebrows were hairy or had hair on my arms when I was a kid, and I was so terrified. I tried to shave it off and got like redness on my hands, and it was shaved, and this obviously shaved, and it looked weird. Grew my hair down in front of my face, and something happened. I couldn't walk because I fell down these steps trying to do a skateboard trick, and ended up like getting really weak and hobbling around a campus. And it was horrible feeling. I couldn't carry one book at a time. I mean, I really had to suffer when I had done. Oh, I had done some. There were a couple things I did wrong, but it wasn't that mean. But
John,
I don't want to talk about.
Don't talk about that. Let's talk about the present time. Let's talk about now.
But I was too manly.
Let's talk about now.
If I cut my hair short, I was more confident. It was like no.
That was, that you're talking about 20 years ago, John.
The thing is that I have made up for all those sins that I've done. I'm pretty sure that there are things I still have to do on earth. I'm pretty sure, but if I died, I die. If I die, I die. I've done the best I could. I made sure my kids are okay. I've traveled there 7 times in 2 years. One of them had to be hospitalized that time, and written them relentless times on on whatever social media I could that they happen to use. That I just talk to them on, make sure they're okay, send them emails, call them. And they're turning out okay. I can still help them better. It'd be great to have my family back one day, or good.
But how are you going to balance your life now? What do you need to do so you don't get anxious?
I know how to not lose sleep for that long. See, but I know I'll go to the other side. I know I'll go to heaven now. I've been told it. It's like I had something so real and godly and otherworldly, like from the other side, just tell me clearly that after I helped all those people across country and made it for my sins, that I'll definitely go to the other side, like to heaven. Or the other side when I die. I'm not going to go to hell. And it's because I was willing to go through that suffering. I thought in that mental institution place, it's not a real mental behavioral, wherever it was because I didn't sleep for a week or two, and they didn't know what to do with me until they figured out, oh, he's just got to get sleep again. They gave me trazodone so I'd sleep, and then I was back to normal. They had to go home very carefully with like $2 left in my wallet. Had to get my car sent home. It took a month to recuperate because I hadn't slept in a week or two, and that can make anyone kind of nuts. And so But after that, when it's back to normal, I get a clear idea in my mind. That was from the other side. It wasn't. It was a good feeling just knowing that I'd go to the other side after what I had done.
So, John, why do things make you feel anxious and get you angry now? After having this experience, isn't it a vehicle that can assist you to be that person you want to be that balanced John?
Yeah.
Rather than being a seesaw, and if when you are balanced, you can't feel that people are stepping on you because they're not, and you can't feel that people are against you because they're not, because the average person doesn't care enough to have a cabal to attack you. It's like your dad and other people and the dog, they're not in
that's
it.
All my thoughts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or do you think I am hypersensitive to the subtleties of the use of all of our five senses and a potential sixth sense that we may all have, which is in some instances been proven as telepathy, or some person can.
John, yes, I think
having brain waves.
I think both of those things are true.
Having brain waves that have.
But the thing that you're talking about, your sensitivity, that's all been very much proven. But it's very difficult to have that information come into.
There's an electromagnetic current with a brainwave.
Of course there is.
One thought from this part of the brain to that part of the brain.
Yes.
It's electromagnetic current. People who are very close to one another, not in a negative way, but I don't want to think about the negative way. I just don't like that. But to send a thought from this.
It's called empathy, John. It's called empathy.
To another person's brain.
It's called empathy.
It's possible, and I have.
It's called empathy. It's when you feel the other, when you put yourself in the other person's shoes.
I have proof
but
that
otherwise, but if you are thinking it's some more.
Maybe I could do a study. Anyone can do a study to prove something like that.
Well, you got to have what is known as peer review, John. You need to have a peer review. You can't just
get a phone book or type in numbers in your area code and call them all, ask them a series of questions, and that's your study. You write down the results. That's how to do a study. It's pretty easy. You just you get your area code, write down the typical first three numbers and make up the last four, cold call people or whatever. That's legal. It should be legal. And you can look it up to make sure, but it's spammers do it all the time. And you just call people and ask them whatever questions you have. You do that maybe a few hundred times, and then you write down the results. You get the permission to be in the study, and then that's a study right there. You have a study. You did your own study.
Yes, it's meditation and prayer time, John.
We can make videos on a study.
The crowd wants to meditate and pray. Yeah. You want to meditate here, John? You want to sit down and meditate?
That's all. That was the good thing you did. Okay, and don't do any mean stuff.
Yep. So we're gonna.
Because some stuff you can't go back.
Thunder.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Oh.
Learn from Al. He's got the best idea about how to live and feel okay and be a good person.
So hi gang, this is your Sensei Al Bob, and we've been on the air now for about 30 minutes, and it's time to meditate. And this show tonight is about balance, all right? And we were talking earlier this afternoon kind of about balance. What does it take? What do we need to do? What is the outcome? What is the parameters? We're trying to, talk about the alternative aesthetic. And the alternative aesthetic is in service to love's co-creation. It's the only reality there is, right? So all of whatever you think is going bump in the night, the devil, Beelzebub, ghosts, whatever, right? Those are illusions, just like everything else, right? So no one's out to get you, you know? The only thing that is out to get you is our individual fears and anxieties. And when we let that go, um, I can only speak from my own um, um, experience. And I'm not a saint or perfect, and so yeah, I get frustrated with situations, and most times, if I feel that emotional twitchiness of frustration and anxiety, I go, whoa, 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 whoa. So this ain't me, and it's not really the person who's making me anxious. It's this other thing. So let's take that apart. Let's analyze it. Let's look at it. That's why I am your shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist, right? Because I take things apart. And the clarity that only comes to me, not through my brain, through the little squirrel in my head. No, it comes through my heart, the empathy. When I start feeling what everyone around me is feeling. And now I can't project oh, this is this, or this is that, or that's happening because this person is doing that to me. No, what I can do is go into state and look at my Akashic record, which gives me this multi-dimensional picture of what's going on, right? So that's where we're going to go right now. We're going to go into state, and we're going to go into our Akashic record, and we're going to evacuate all our anger, our fear, our anxieties, and we're going to go, to our 9 doors, and we're going to bring in um, a master through the fireplace, through the chimney, and we are then going to go to the doorway of balance, right? And we're going to see. And so, what is balance? It's when you're standing on a seesaw and you're going back and forth, and then you let go of wanting to control, and balance will occur, right? So that's it. So here we go. So everyone, breathe in that 20% and breathe out that 30%. Focus your conscious mind on your breath. Focus that squirrel in the cage of the Rolodex of your mind, of that having to tell that story, have to give that explanation, how to blame somebody else, how to have that excuse. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. All of those things, right? Which are coming from that fear base of the illusion of the material world where you're just somebody's marionette, right? To wake up, to be conscious, to ascend your conscious free will outside of the parameters of the marionette strings, right? And that's what balance will do. So breathe in. I'm going to be counting from 1 to 3, right? And as I do, you're going to go deeper and deeper into a state of conscious relaxation. See it clearly. And you've been breathing in that 20% and breathing out that 30%. And you're going deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. The little squirrel in your mind of the Rolodex is like starting to go to sleep, shutting up, no longer going through the laundry list of the things to do that mean nothing. It's the laundry list of the miscellaneous irrelevance of life. We don't need to work 16 hours a day painting this or fixing that. No, fix it when it needs to be fixed, paint it when it needs to be painted. Do it because you want to do it. It gives you joy to fix that, to make that happen. All those years I was an electrician, I did it because I liked doing it. I didn't per se want it to be my career, but I still enjoyed doing it. And it was a great trade to travel the world around because everyone needed an electrician. And I was good at it, right? And all my other skill sets, I was good at it. So, as a negotiator, I'm good at it. As a healer, I'm good at it. As a psychotherapist, I'm good at it. And I don't need the ego gratification of saying, "Oh, I'm Doctor So and So." No, I've been dealing with a number of people who are running for office, right? And because they fit a certain category, they were put in place. Like the number of women who were elected to Congress in you know the last cycle. There's this group of freshman women who are women of color who have the audacity to speak up. The tradition in Congress was you didn't say anything or get involved in anything until your second time you've been elected, to show people that, oh, see, they can get elected, so we can give them some money, And basically, when people are running for office, even dog catcher, people go, well, what are your qualifications? What degrees do you have? Well, you know what education is? The word education in Latin means is understanding through experience. So the ladies who have, were elected and put in place, the Democratic Party just grabbed them because they wanted women of color. And these were 4 who were ready to go, right? Little did they know that these women were going to exercise their free will to express themselves within the construct of the political structure of Congress. How dare they do that? So now, what's his name? Donnie Chump goes, go back to the country. Well, they were born here. They're Americans. That's what being American is about. You know, that's the beauty, the strength of this country. Otherwise, this is no more than a banana republic. Our Constitution is a joke because it was written by white guys, right? And I'm preambling this because I'm your griot, so I'm telling you this story, and I am winding you down into a place of balance because we are, all of us, because, we're from all over the world in this chat. The cadre is not all from the United States or from Virginia or Tennessee or New Jersey. No, it's not even the other beauty of the cadre is that we are not a tribe. We're not tribal. We, all of us have way different insights and experiences and opinions, right? And that's what makes our cadre so amazingly strong, powerful, and different from anything else that you see on YouTube or the internet, is because it is so diverse. And as people came into this group, instead of being, oh, he's a troll, we got to get rid of him. No, everyone is accepted. There is no wrench. There is no control, except for the individual. And it's not that of fear, oh, I better act this way. No, it's the responsibility of self-respect. That's what makes the cadre amazing, is that everyone respects themselves and each other, and they have embraced the understanding of all our relations. And when we go into meditation, why, when I bring you into a guided meditation, why it's not me, the power, oh boy, Sensei Bob, he's amazing. No, who's amazing is the cadre. It is your discipline as adepts. You are stepping up, not to blame somebody else, not to find an excuse, but to move forward and ascend your free will. That's what every one of you are doing. And I love you for it. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, right? And as I count, you're going to go deeper and deeper into a state of conscious relaxation. At this time, your little squirrel in your head, in the metal cage of your Rolodex, in your mind, is asleep, right? Your mind is asleep. And what is truly charged is your heart, right? So breathe in that 20% through your nose, deeper, deeper, and deeper. As you see, I'm breathing, and my head is going back, my neck is going up, and my diaphragm is lifting, so my lung cavity is expanding. So I can breathe out more and more. And I'm breathing up 30% more than I do, which makes it easier to breathe in that 20%. And as we breathe, what we are doing is stepping up and sweeping away, right? As we breathe in, we're stepping up, expanding our lungs, bringing in the prana from Father Sky, filling our lungs with prana, the healing. What animates us, what animates our little bag of water is the prana. Now, the prana, if it didn't have someplace to go, it would just get stuck. And so, as we breathe in, we breathe out. And what we are breathing out is the waste products of our body, right? And now those waste products feed the rest of the planet. There's this great symbiosis between human beings breathing out and trees breathing in, trees breathing out oxygen that we need, and we're breathing that in. There's a symbiosis, right? It's again balance, right? And when oh, I got to pay my bills. If I only had enough money, I'd be fine. People go, well, why don't you have a job? You got all this education. Why aren't you doing this? Because when I was doing all that, I lost sight of what I was supposed to be here in service to love's co-creation. I was sent here to be the griot sensei Albab, tell you a story, right? I found the vehicle of the YouTube. I found, and I keep uncovering more and more of the griot. Um, the you adepts are turning into griots. You're going to be telling stories. You are telling stories. You're telling stories of our amazing travels, right? Steinbeck, my second cousin, wrote a great book, Travel with Charlie, right? This dog, right? And his dog was way smarter than his. And every dog I've ever had was way smarter than I am. And that's why I'm a dog boy. And I like cats too, but cats are more insulated, where dogs are like this neuron, right? And if you're honest with the dog will be honest with you. If you're not scared of the dog will not be scared of you, right? And that's how we have to live our lives with all our relations, right? Skinned, feathered, scaled, warm blood, cold blood, all our relations. Whether you are carbon based or silicate based, we're all our relations. And this is what we're traveling to. And that's, it's happening very quickly. I keep saying we have an 18-month window of opportunity. Well, now it's down to 17 months. But that's still, a long time. And, when I was in the 40-day, 40-night category, those 40 days and 40 nights lasted like 6 months. It was half the first year with the 40 days and 40 nights. But right now, we are going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of conscious relaxation. And as you're breathing in that 20%, you are now totally, your body anyway, is on remote control, autopilot. All of the autonomic systems are taking care of everything, so you don't have to worry. You're in a comfortable spot, you're lying down, you're sitting down, you're in a place where you won't fall over. And you're going deeper and deeper. And as I count from 1 to 2 to 3, you're going to go deeper and deeper, deeper. And 1, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're breathing in the prana of life, from Father Sky, and you're filling your lungs with this prana. And as your heart, the true CPU of your consciousness in this, avatar bag of water, is pumping your blood, which is iron rich, right? And that's a conductor. So this highly active, energetic scalar and photonic energy of the prana is going into our breath, filling our lungs. Little cilia are getting totally jazzed, and our blood is going through those sacs and carrying that photonic energy through our veins, capillaries, arteries, right? And the blood isn't just going blub, 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 it's swirling, right? And there's a swirl that goes around the internal part of the cavity of the vein, artery, or capillary. Right inside of that swirl, there's another swirl going the opposite direction. And inside of that, there's another swirl going 90 degrees. And what is that creating? A scalar current, right? Which amplifies that photonic light. And as and if we didn't have a ground, and what is our ground but our chi? So as we that's stepping. We're stepping up with that internal breath at 20% in, and we're sweeping away. We're breathing out all that toxicity. We're sweeping it away. So we're stepping up and sweeping away, stepping up, sweeping away, right? And in that step, we step into our chi, which grounds us into Mother Earth. So we're breathing in that prana, our Father Sky, and in every day and every way, we're taking the peace of the earth and making it stronger. And our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without. Amen. Aho. What that means is it's talking about the story of, you go to Genesis, in the beginning all things were black. It meant not void, but black. If you go look up in a physics book or a dictionary, what makes up black or darkness? What it does, black has a representation of every frequency of light. So when you are, oh, I'm a light worker, that bright incandescent light, what is that but Lucifer? Lucifer is the light bringer. He is the illuminated one. He is the essence of incandescence. Jesus was none of that, right? So the world before Lucifer, and who was Lucifer? He was the head administrator of the hierarchy of heaven, right? And what was heaven but this scholastic textbook on how to run things, right? And everything was run by a hegemony, right? A way, everything was kind of stuck in a box. That was heaven in a box. And love was getting a little bored of that. So love wanted something to co-create with, because these clowns in the box not doing that. They were following the rule book. So love created, the free will, the conscious free will that you consciously can choose whether to do right or wrong, Because, love didn't just want something that was just going to stay in the box, follow the book, and always, oh, I love you, God. Oh, God is everything. No. So when this creation of a soul was done, Lucifer got really pissed off because he was the number one boy. And here's love throwing him, it's like a jilted, lover, And so he got really pissed and destroyed heaven, started a war, conflict, harassment, what Aries is all about. And Libra, balance, is trying to find that balance. But because it's in this maelstrom of Aryan, war and conflict, see, Aries thinks the only way we can get anywhere is if we cause war and conflict. There is a presence of that, but only in the illusion of the material world. So we need to balance ourselves, not find some artificial thing like a drug or a government or a religion to give us some kind of balance. No, we have to do it through service to love's co-creation. And that's what love wants. It wants us to come to it with our free will and serve through co-creation, meaning what really jazzes love is when, we create stuff. And that's why the artist in the first person is the savage, you know, the indigenous consciousness is that of the free will that serves love's co-creation. You look at indigenous folk and they are in balance. Yeah, they have conflicts, they have wars, they have disputes. They're human, right? But they don't burn the seed corn. They don't kill the old folks and the women and the children. The warriors go over on the field, they have a game. Yeah, they could kill each other in the game, but whoever wins, that's how right. And so the Iroquois did that best. They had the war hatch, the whole thing. And Jesus walks across Lake Erie, right at this peninsula where the Iroquois and the Mohawk and the Seneca and all the rest, the Onondaga, are all killing each other, the warriors, over this dispute. And they, whoa, wait, what is it? Look at that guy. He's walking across the lake. What's going on? Who is that guy? And he walks up and he goes, hey, cut this out. And he opens the earth and he says, throw in, bury your war hatchets. The term bury your hatchet came from Jesus, right? And they did. And they, from that point on, didn't make those things anymore. They had hatchets, they had axes, they had other things, but they didn't do those war hatchets anymore. And it was the French that brought that back. It was the French that scalped people, the Europeans. So the indigenous have this first people's motif of not killing each other, right? Yeah, they can have conflict. They're human. They got their foibles, but they know enough to be respectful of all our relations. Well, we're not. We are destroying this. Everyone said, "Oh, we have to stop." It's a global warming. Blah 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 blah. Well, human beings are like salt on a potato chip. And look, an asteroid hit this planet and wiped virtually everything out. And about 6 million years later, hey, there's life on this planet. So not so much us with our cars are we going to wipe things out. Yeah, we're going to make a mess. But, it's amazing. You look at all the rivers, the Cuyahoga, the Hudson, all the ones that were unbelievably polluted to the point where they thought, oh, we can't clean this up. Well, they did. When people stopped polluting and started pulling the tires out of the river and everything else, within 20 years, things, the Hudson is a pretty clean thing. The Cuyahoga is a pretty clean thing. The Ohio River is a pretty clear thing, And so what did we do? We went and basically dumped all our crap in the third world, Again, there's a reef that Kennedy said, this is really, he went there with his boat and he jumped in the water. He looked as well as he was president. Okay, so we're going to make sure nobody screws with this, no dumping this, no doing that, no building, none of this, none of that. And that reef, all the other reefs around where people are, throwing their crap in the water, they're dying. That one reef there, not so much. It's still, it's got life, it's got fish, it's got things running around. And we can find balance, right? And the more we look for balance, the more balance will come, right? But when we're doing this through squabbles and wars, and by 2030, more than 40% of the world's population will have no water. And that's not just India and the third world. It's going to happen. It's already happened. Look at Flint. Go, if you want to, I suggest everyone go to their municipality, their water board, and say, hey, I want to be part of the water board, or at least want to see what you guys are doing. Where are all the things of what's in the water? I would say more than half the cities in the United States are more like Flint than, let's say, some better place. New York City has pretty good water because they've, from 100 years ago, made it a big issue because rich people live there, and they needed clean water for what they were doing there. So they took the effort to make clean water. But other cities, are pinching pennies, so the mayor can buy himself a nice big car. And one, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. The little griot stories I'm telling you here are kind of, just hitting these little brain cells. And not only that, as you're breathing in the prana and you're creating photonic energy through the scalar dimensions, and you're grounding it out through your chi, you're stepping up and sweeping away, right? Well, clean water is a good thing. Distilled water is a righteous thing. But the thing about distilled water, it's just H2O. So normally, like we're here at the school, one of the greatest things about this water is it's amazing because we are on this mountainside where no chemicals have ever been dumped here. We're high up in the air, and we have this it's called artesian well, right? I can turn off the electricity and the water will still come up the pipe. And if it's been raining as much as it is, it's still, the water comes out not so much upstairs, but here, yes. So when I put in the well into the artesian water supplier, and I had to have the water tested, the guy who tested it said, and here's the gods of water talking to us. The water testing guy said, "Boy, this is the most amazing. You should bottle it and sell